Welcome to the Johnny Jensen Show, where modern dads discover how to create the true riches, relationships and results they deserve. Get your High Value Man blueprint and join our community at highvaluemanproject.com. Let's go. Hello, welcome to the Johnny Jensen Show. Pretty much the number one first show in the reboot. A lot of you listeners will be familiar with the Team Super Dad as it was since the launch of the High Value Man Project, the podcast, as we are relaunching it now as the Johnny Jensen Show, where we are going to be focused on the principles of the High Value Man project, the work we do with over 40s dads, predominantly business owning and career minded men, but any dad is welcome on the High Value Man project and here on this Johnny Jensen Show. Today, I thought it would be powerful and essential to introduce, to talk about the key concept of literally choosing a high value man way of life, because it really is a lifestyle choice, both in the way that you look at situations and the way that you take situations on. So it becomes a choice. It becomes a choice each and every day. And inside of the work that we do, as one of the core concepts is the fire code. And that's the 4 key areas of your life, my life, really anyone's life. Could even work for our kids as well, as you feed this down into your children and across your family. So the first things first is focus. That is the F of fire. And that is putting yourself first, because you can't be everything for everybody else if you're not the best version of yourself. And too many men have this upside down. It becomes all about providing and creating the money and looking after everybody, making everybody sure they're okay, making sure your partner's happy, your wife's happy. Literally, it becomes making sure your staff are happy. It becomes about everybody else. And the problem with that, and I found this out the hardest possible way, is that when you're shouldering everybody else, the weight of that becomes heavy. It becomes intensely heavy, particularly when things start to get a bit strained, let alone any significant life changes like financial difficulties, like miscarriages, like, unfortunately, your brother committing suicide. At the point at which those things take you down, there's only so far you can go before you get wiped out completely. And so when you put yourself first, when you're making sure that you're as strong as you can be, I don't mean like Arnie strong, but I mean physically, mentally, emotionally strong, then you are better placed to look after everybody else. So the F of the fire code is about yourself, your mindset, your positive outlook on the world, the amount of energy you've got, your sleep and your diet, your knowledge. Where are you taking on information? What fresh perspectives are you learning and taking about things? If the information, the knowledge that got you as far as you are today probably isn't what you need to get to where you want to go to. So you've got to be working on yourself, let alone as a role model to other people, let alone as things to talk about during conversations. Life gets pretty boring if you're not moving forward. Possibly a reference to Ferris Bueller there. So working on yourself is absolutely vital. And you can't expect to win in areas of life if you're not putting yourself first. Getting to the gym, getting outside, fresh air, getting enough sleep, one of the elements of the fire code, both the exercise and the 7 hours sleep a night. You can't do that every night in the same way that you can't exercise every day. But how many times a week is that going to happen? How many times will that translate into a month, into half a year? You will know yourself the number of times you've thought, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, it won't matter if I miss today. The problem with all these things, we get into the first reference of high value versus low value living, is that when you keep saying, we'll do it tomorrow, when you keep putting it off, when you keep saying, oh, we'll just have another beer or we'll just have another burger, it's the compound effect of doing that over time that really is the problem. It's not the one-offs aren't the problem. It's the compound effect of doing it over time. That's where you find yourself demotivated, overweight, unhappy. This is the responsibility of yourself to take this on. And that's why focus comes first in the fire code, being the best version of yourself. Have a look. Have a look where you're making compromises. Have a look where you're not living up to the standards that you could possibly have for yourself. When I talk to men and they're coming into the High Value Man project, we talk about like, being the U 2.0. In fact, everybody that joins the High Value Man group, just go to johnnyjensen.com/group. You get the free U 2.0 program, which is a short introduction and to the fire code and to a framework for living. But what does that look like? How would James Bond be in this situation? How would, I don't know, who's a role model? Um, I don't know. Who's that fast runner? Depends how old you are. Could say Linford Christie. Carl Lewis. No, not at all. Usain Bolt. That is exactly who I'm thinking about. I don't know the guy personally, right? So I can't speak for all his lifestyle choices, but certainly around becoming an Olympic gold medalist, a world champion. What are the choices you're going to have to take about yourself to get to that level? And you could look at anywhere in life, like people who are operating at a higher level. What has it taken them to be there? So next up is impact, the eye of fire. Really, this is about mastering your money and your work with the right attitude. There is a degree in there of community, but the reason that's in there is because the amount of money you have really does determine how much support and assistance, how much you can do for others. And I don't mean like, oh, well, if you've got no money, you can't help other people. Of course you can. But when you've got disposable income, when you're mastering your finances, then you can really be a contribution to others, whether it's people you know, maybe your neighbor, maybe extended family, maybe you're doing something bigger in the world. So low value around money and work would be hating your job, hating your business, being fed up, going in there really frustrated and resigned, not doing what you know you needed to do, maybe being disorganized, not making the sales calls, not committing to the progress you said that that you would create. Because when you do that, it backs up. So now you haven't just got the day's work, you've got last week's work as well. And the thing with finances is money's all around us. You might have plenty right now, you might have loads, you might have not enough. But it's the degree to which you're managing it that will determine your level of stress around it. I have met plenty of very rich people who had very little cash. And that created the same amount of stress for them as it might be for you right now. And it's just not necessary. At the end of the day, if all your money goes and you go bankrupt, literally you start again. The idea that life is over, we're doomed if everything goes wrong, will hold you back. That is low value thinking around money. So being disorganized about money, not managing your money, being stressed about it, being consumed by fear of losing it, that is all low value thinking, low value ways of being. So when you flip that to high value, you're going to be doing practical things like managing your cash flow. You're going to be looking at coming up with new ideas. Like literally, when was the last time you sat down and came up with 10 new ideas about how you could grow your business, or even different, like how you could evolve the business, or even how could you start a business? Like, how many ideas are you having? Because it's a muscle in itself. That creative energy, the connection, the spark, the neural pathways of having one idea that creates another idea that creates another idea that connects two existing ideas. That is high value living. Let alone getting into the realms of wealth creation and looking at new ways of making money. But too many men tie their identity to work. So you can't do that. Your identity is you, the things you love, your values, your passions, your skills, even your weaknesses. And it's bullshit, the idea that you got to focus on your weaknesses. Why do that? If you're aware of your weaknesses, if it's vital, then maybe work on them. But if it's something that you can delegate or pass on to someone else, why spend time and energy focusing on something you're not very good at when you could put that energy into something you are good at? That is high value thinking. That is a high value way of being. So into relationships, too often the level of dissatisfaction and unhappiness that men are experiencing is at its heart about their relationships. It's either about how detached and frustrated they feel in their marriage, like the resentment and the despair that comes into that. It can be about their children. It can be about the amount of time they get to spend to them, or the changing ways or that you get to hang out as they get older. Things change. And it can be about the groundwork that you put in there, but it's very difficult. Let's say literally, it's impossible to go back and change time. But you can be working on the present so that tomorrow is better. And that's why bringing a high value way of being into your relationships is absolutely vital, let alone friends and family and your network and mentors. But keeping it immediate right now, how much quality time are you spending with people? When you are spending that time, are you really connected with them, or are you looking at your phone? If if the football's on, great, if it's something that you enjoy doing together. But if one of you doesn't really like the football and you're both sat there, then great that you're able to do that together. But is it really quality time for the other person? How are you thinking about creating that time for them as well as yourself? And then communication, the level to which you are holding on to frustrations, not saying what you want to say, always going along with what they say, like 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 snapping a biting back, or even just when someone's talking to you, are you preparing to constantly answer, or are you truly listening to what they say so you get what they're talking about, so you get what the experience is like for them? That's called active listening. These are high value ways of being inside of your relationships. So I want to challenge you as you're listening to this. Think about the people that matter to you most and look at what you've got scheduled this week with them. No phones, no distractions, you really being present to what they're saying and how they're doing. They will notice that. And I would hope that you would experience it in a different way as well. It's just something we don't do enough of. And then finally, the energy of the fire code is about the amount of fun and adventure and peace that you've got in your life. Too many men are just literally bored out their brains, let alone lonely. And then we try and compensate by picking up as many distraction habits as possible, whether it's drink, whether it's drugs, whether it's watching too much sport, whether it's watching porn. Like we try and compensate with how we're feeling across our life by doing things that are not actually going to help us. And if you're doing a lot of that, then it's a sign that you're living overall a low value life. And it's not necessary. It's simply not necessary. For me, realizing how long I was putting up with a low value existence. I didn't call it that at that time. I was just like, I'm exhausted, I'm worn out, I'm frustrated, I'm bored, I'm angry. Like they're all low value ways of being. When you flip it and start to follow a set of habits and routines that actually shift your experience of life, that's when you start to show up better. That's when you start to enjoy this experience. That's when other people start to enjoy being around you, but better. And then you get the experience of them being happy and showing you love and appreciation. It comes back your way. Waiting for them to change is never going to work, mainly because you're oblivious to how you're being in the situation. So this thing about energy, literally the amount of fun and adventure and peace you're having in your life, it's not something that you'll do when you've got time. You have to create it. Otherwise, you'll end up having less time for it because all the other sides of your life will be so messed up and stressed out. Booking tickets, date nights, getting away one on one with each of your kids, seeing old friends, having people around for dinner. Go, like whatever it is that you enjoy doing or used to enjoy doing with those people, go and do more of it now. And if you're feeling like so many people are when they say to me, I don't really have many hobbies, like I'm not saying you've got to suddenly go and take up some kind of craft but get interested in things. Go and find where other people are hanging out, what they're doing, whether it be park run, whether it be a a jam session at a pub that you could start going to. We've got the internet right now. Go on Facebook, go on Meetup, find groups of people that are doing things that you like doing and actually start to show up. And most importantly, inside your relationships, because the reality of life is we might not have time to go and do loads of new things. But for those key relationships that help us feel like the person we know we want to be, then you've got to make time for them. And you are one of those people yourself, making time to relax, making time to reward yourself at the end of a week, to acknowledge all the things that you have done rather than focusing on what you haven't done. High value versus low value. This is where you bring the joy and energy into your life. And so the impact, ultimately, the impact for too many of us who are going through life doing all the low value things that I've listed in these last 15 minutes is why so many men are just experiencing a shit life. It's why relationships are struggling. It's why the flipping suicide rate is so high. It's because the level of despair about how we're going to fix this is just too much. But the answer is actually pretty easy. Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he calls it a win-win. Like when you're engaging with other people, you're looking for a win-win. And that's very much what this is about. But in everything you're doing for yourself, even if it's just you, what is a win-win? Get up and get fit. Great. Well, I'm up, so I'm going to get more of the day, and I'm going to get fit, which can mean I'm probably going to be a better person to be around. That's a win-win for the rest of your life. That is high value thinking. And so as you approach any situation, if you're feeling that it's awkward or there's some regret, there's some doubt, there's some tension there, look to see how you could flip it. What would be a high value way of addressing this that would give me a better experience, that would have me feeling better in myself? And it just becomes second nature then. It just becomes a new version of who you are and how you deal with things. It's ultimately not that difficult. And the payoff is awesome. The payoff is happiness. The payoff is feeling energized, having enough sleep. The payoff is laughing and joking with the people you love. The payoff is realizing that the things that you were giving too much priority and energy to were actually the things that were robbing you of this experience we call life. You only get about 80 summers. And if you're right in the target audience of High Value Man Project, then you're going to be around 40 or 50. So you haven't got many left, which is even more reason to engage in a high value man life, to bring the rewards and true riches and relationships that you deserve to you. So do it now. If you are on Facebook, then go to johnnyjensen.com/group. That will give you access to the High Value Man group. If you want to take part in the next inner circle of High Value Man, or you want to work one-on-one as an elite client, then just go to johnnyjensen.com/High Value Man Project. And which is actually wrong. What you want to do is go to join.highvaluemanproject, and all the information you want is going to be there. I just did it this weekend. It's a new URL, so you're going to find it all there. So that's join.highvaluemanproject.com. Subscribe, like this, and you will get all the latest episodes coming to you. There'll be some longer ones where we're talking to some cool people. There'll be short ones like this, 10 to 20 minutes long, where we're covering a particular topic. Put it in your ears in the gym, stick it on the car when you're driving somewhere. We have got your back. It's time to level up. It's time to be the high value man that you deserve to be. Let's go. Not that bloody thing. This one. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in to the Johnny Jensen Show. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow dads. Creating the life you deserve starts with you. Get your High Value Man blueprint and join our community of motivated modern dads at highvaluemanproject.com. Let's go.